ambition is like go, get all the money, build all the things, get the status, get the credibility, get the followers. But then when you move into that mature success, it's like, what's my mission? What's my legacy? What do I hand down to my children? What kind of impact am I making in the world? You know, this was a big thing for me. It was just moving to where the heartbeat is, moving to where the money was coming into, moving where there was a bigger network, moving to the cities and the places where I could get on stages and speak.
Hey guys, Sid here. Welcome to yet another episode of Master's Secrets. And I have here with me someone really interesting, and I've been following him for over a decade now. He runs one of the world's leading blogs in the personal development space called addictedtosuccess.com. He is a master coach, a speaker, and a founder of the #1 motivation website in the world right now, and which has achieved over 348 million views worldwide in the last 14 years. In fact, if there's anyone who's spent so many years in the personal development space, online blogging, I don't think anyone comes close to Joel here that you're seeing here. Joel has been featured in the new hit movie called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and the WeRiseUp movie. And he's also featured alongside Richard Branson, the Dalai Lama. And what I love about Joel is, for a change, he's on the other side. I'm going to be interviewing him. He has interviewed some of the world's top legends and leaders in the personal development space, and even business leaders and entrepreneurs like Tony Robbins, Deepak Chopra, Les Brown, Jay Shetty, Gary Vee. The list goes on and on. And in terms of numbers, like he's coached over 11,000 people, over 2.6 or even more million followers on social media, and over 11.8 million views across his different media that is out there. In fact, his podcast alone has had over 5.2 million downloads over the last few years. So Joel, it's such an amazing feeling to now interview you. Honor and privilege to have you on this show. And thank you for being here. Great to have you here.
Siddharth, thanks a million, man. I really appreciate you, and I love what you're doing with your community. I love that you have such a big heart as well to be able to give back, and that's what this is about, And we could talk a little bit about this on the interview today. I'm sure it will come up. Yeah. The difference between ambition and purpose, right? That's the journey, and you're really stepping into your purpose. So thank you, man. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and being generous with it too. You share how you built your community, and a lot of people don't do that. They hold back. They want to hide their strategies, and you're just so, generous with it. And that's what this is about. This is how we grow together.
Thank you. And talking about generosity, I don't think, there's anyone that can come close to you. You've been doing this for 14 years, putting out a piece of content every single day on addictedtosuccess.com. And my first question to you here is, what got you started on that journey? It's 14 years now, addictedtosuccess.com?
Yeah, around there for sure. Yeah, I was working in a sales job in Perth, Western Australia, and I was working my way up the company. I was reading all the Grant Cardone sales books. I was listening to Les Brown, Tony Robbins, the Think and Grow Rich audio tape, and I was just filling my mind with ways that I can better my life. And I was very much in, how do I break free from this 9-to-5 society, this rat race, right? And I had the opportunity to sit down in a sales workshop. It was 14 years ago with Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, right? And not Leonardo DiCaprio, but the actual original Wolf of Wall Street. And he was training us in sales, but he also taught how to be able to cast a 10-year vision. He taught us about reverse engineering that 10-year vision. And I had never really thought ahead that much. It was always like the goals that were in front of me. And when I wrote down this ideal vision that I could step into, what I realized, Siddharth, was that it really was about bringing more people together that were aspiring for similar things to me. And this is where I birthed the idea of Addicted to Success. I thought to myself, what would encapsulate the feeling that I have for growth? I'm very growth minded. For me, it's about really growing and learning and teaching and sharing. And I realized that I had this obsession with wanting to do just that. And so naturally, with the registering domain names, there's a lot of them that are already taken. So I ended up with, Addicted, the number 2, and then Success. I thought, cool, let's run with this. And what I found was it actually created a movement. You know, I had a lot of people that would reach out to me and say, man, I feel addicted to success too. You know, I can't stop. I want to be able to create more and more. And so I didn't realize what I was doing at the time was I was creating a movement. I was creating really a community, not just an audience, because a lot of people, what they do is they focus on audience, which is the views and likes. But I was focused on building a community that was sharing and trusting. And there's a difference there because, you know, your community members end up buying your products. They end up sharing your products. They end up coming to your events. They end up buying your book, whatever it may be that you're putting out there because they want to be a part of it. And I think a lot of people miss this. A lot of people are so focused on how many likes and views they can get. And that's so temporary, as you know, man. You've had lots of it too. Yeah. And it's just so fleeting. It comes and goes. Like, what does it even mean, right? I want to connect with my people. So yeah, Addicted to Success is a #1 self-development website. We had a lot of, you know, motivational videos and things of that nature, but I started to really go deeper and find out what are the strategies, what are the tips, how are people able to achieve success? What did this, you know, incredible entrepreneur do? If we could pull it apart and work out the mechanics of what they did step by step, let's share that because that's going to be practical. I take a very pragmatic approach to the content that I put out. And so it's like, cool, let's apply the strategies so you can achieve success. It's not that this person is some mystical creature. You know, you have this within you as well, and you can apply it to your life to get amazing results too.
Amazing. So that's been quite a journey when I look at it. I mean, I'm sure you've published a few thousand blogs, right? Is it like
5,000, I think, man. There's about 5,000 articles right now.
Yeah. And that's like, that really shows the consistency. I mean, you've been doing it for like over a decade. Very few people actually, you know, it's easy to start things, but to take it to this level is really commendable, you know, the work that you've done. And I want to ask you, the next question is like, you mentioned Jordan Belfort, the original Wolf of Wall Street. And I also, you know, I've promoted some of his events when I was in the agency because I used to work doing a lot of work with Success Resources. And I remember promoting his events all over the world, doing the campaigns and stuff. And I know he's one of your mentors. Who else have been your mentors in your initial part of your journey? And I want to know, what are the values that they instilled in you? Definitely one of the values, which I can clearly see in what you said, is like charting out a vision for the future, which is like larger than life vision, which is very clear. But what are the other values that, and who are those mentors, if you'd like to share that?
For sure. Yeah, look, man, one of them would have to be David T.S. Wood. Okay. He doesn't have a very big social media following. I was in a network marketing company at the time. I think it was about 12 years back is when I took him on board as a mentor, 2 years into my journey. And I was aligned with a network marketing company called Isogenics, and David T.S. Wood was like the leadership trainer. You know, whenever they'd have like a big conference event, he would be the one going in and running training workshops. And, you know, I like network marketing because I believe that it's a great vehicle for anybody that wants to get into entrepreneurship and learn how to get rejections and the no's, and then how to build a team. And, you know, it's great. And they really love self-development. So David T.S. Wood, the thing that I really loved about him and still do to this day is he's the type of guy where he will try everything once, like at least once, you know, like he will say yes to so many things, obviously managing his time well at the same time, but he'll say yes to things that a lot of people would be shy to because he wants to live in the fullness of life. And so I just learned from him how to create variety in my life. I learned from him, how to dream bigger and how to give things a go and not just, you know, like sit back and wish and hope. He really instilled in me the importance of action. And then extracting the lessons that you learn from your experiences, not just, you know, looking at like, oh, that was a cool moment. He's like, what did you learn from it? You know, so I learned so much from him. He was really great. He was like a kind of like an uncle type figure, you know. I've learned from John Assaraf, who's an incredible coach, mindset coach, wealth coach. I've learned quite a few things from him. I sat down and worked with Dr. John DeMartini over the years as well. He's taught me a lot just about building out your coaching business. He taught me about speaking. He taught me about research and applying knowledge and the coaching tools. So yeah, and I learned a lot from my now business partner, who was my relationship coach. Her name's Tace Gibson. She runs a big personal development academy. And she, she instilled a lot in me around just healing myself around the wounds and the trauma from childhood. And when it comes to relationships, how to just really live with a full relationship, with those around me, friends, family, romantic partners, and it's improved my life tenfold. And then I'd say Jesus, man, just studying the scriptures and aligning myself with Christ and learning from him, to live in those standards is incredible. To love, live, to give, to live in that truth and that liberty, man, it's amazing. So yeah, they're my mentors. Excellent. And my mom too, man. My mom, she's instilled so much knowledge in me and supported me even when she didn't understand my dreams.
Wow, Joel. And so many patterns I can see correlated with my journey. I started with network marketing. And in fact, my first mentor was also a David Wood, but not David T.S. Wood. That was another network marketing company.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I got started in that journey back then, and had a lot of transformation, went through the rejection phase and totally relate with what you're saying. And even he said, Jesus, I've sung in the school choir for like 6-7 years. So even though I come from an Indian traditional family, I can totally relate with that. And, spirituality is the core of whatever I do as well in my community. So I love that connection that you mentioned there. Amazing.
It's amazing.
So, yeah. So what do you think were the tipping points in your journey? Like, I know, what you have achieved so far in the last 14 years, it's taken time to build, and it's been like with a lot of relentless focus and energy. So when you rewind time, let's say 10-20 years, can you recollect what were the tipping points in your life journey that took you to the next level, and what were those moments? If you'd like to share maybe 3 or 4 of those tipping points on your journey to success.
Yeah, man. The first one would have been really just quitting my 9-to-5 job and moving to a job that paid even more. So I was getting paid an extra 30 grand or 40 grand Australian per year, working up north in the deserts of Western Australia, catching snakes and lizards and kangaroos. I know this sounds crazy, but the only way I could work up north in the deserts on these big construction jobs that paid a lot was to be able to get a snake handling certificate and work in the environmental team to relocate animals away from the building projects. This is like one of the needs that they had. And I went in and learned how to do that. It's very cliche Australian, like Steve Irwin style. But yeah, man, it was good. It was like the first big injection that I got of that additional income that allowed for me to reinvest into my marketing for Addicted to Success, which allowed for me to be able to pay for staff to start working with me so we could ramp up the vision. And that was a big tipping point for me, because I realized when I wrote down the vision that day with Jordan and I commanded it to the room, I realized that I needed to do something like dramatic. I needed like one big swing, like something that would shift everything, that would move the needle. Yeah. And I needed to quit the job. It's for some people, maybe you're listening right now and you're watching this and you're thinking like, okay, what's my thing? Maybe it's leaving a relationship that's not good for you. Maybe it's moving to a different city. Maybe thinking like, oh, if I could just move to that city and maybe my business would thrive. It's like, go do that. Like, don't just sit around and wait. Set a deadline on it, set a time and go for it. And, this was a big thing for me. It was just moving to where the heartbeat is, moving to where the money was coming into, moving where there was a bigger network, moving to the cities and the places where I could get on stages and speak. I moved. I did, like Jim Rohn says, you're not a tree. You're not stuck where you are. You can move. And that was a big principle that I live by. Yeah. So that was a big one. I'd say the second one was, I don't know if you know this, but I was married almost 8 years ago. And I caught my ex-wife, but my wife at the time, having an affair. And, it really shattered me, man. I was ready for that commitment. She had other ideas of what it meant to be in a marriage, and is unfortunate. And so, I spent the next 6 months when I found that out to just really like reinvent, like, who am I with this newer vision that didn't have my partner in it, and what would I create moving forward? And I also got to heal in all that process. I got to work on forgiveness, and I got to recreate a different type of connection with her where, you know, to this day we can talk, we're cool, you know, and I wish the best for her. She wishes the best for me. And it taught me a lot about really just forgiving and understanding where people are at, and understanding that not everyone's going to go to where you're going to go, and that's okay. You know, so that was a big tipping point for me. I think I matured a lot around that time. My goals around success shifted. They became deeper. I felt maybe a couple of years after that, that's when I came to Christ, and I really felt that I wanted to do more of what God was calling me to do, to really live in my purpose. And this is the difference, man. Ambition is like, go, get all the money, build all the things, get the status, get the credibility, get the followers. But then when you move into that mature success, it's like, wait a minute, what am I called to? What's my mission? What's my legacy? What do I hand down to my children? What kind of impact am I making in the world? You know, is what I'm doing actually bettering the advancement of humanity, or am I just taking, you know, and this is where things start to shift. And I think that some people need to go through the ambition stage to get to the purpose stage. It's like passing through a hallway for a while, you know? Wow. So yeah, that were big tipping points for sure.
Amazing. And thank you, Joel, for being vulnerable and sharing about that, you know, that journey and how you've come through that. And I'm sure you had the business running and all these things going in the background. And I'm sure that would have been a huge shift for you in reconnecting with yourself and closer to God, you know, all of these situations.
Yeah.
I can totally relate with what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what too, bro? I'd have to say, I also saw how incredible my friendships were, because people came there to me and supported me through the process. And I think sometimes we forget how important friendships and family are, because we get so caught up in business. But when you know, you really hit that rock bottom or your challenge and it comes down to the wire, the question is, who's there with you? And you know, maybe everyone at some point in their life goes through this type, maybe it's a similar type of experience, or a heartbreak or a hurt or a pain or a struggle, to realize what's important to them. So if you're right now, embrace it and have a look at who's around you, and stay close to the people that are there when you needed them.
Amazing, Joel. Thank you for sharing that. My next question is more to do with you know, the interviews you've done. I'm sure you've done so many interviews with legends in the personal development space, top entrepreneurs in the world, and you've also shared this stage with some of the world, you know, the big names that we see, like the Tony Robbins, the Deepak Chopras, the Les Brown, Jay Shetty's of the world. When you interact with them, I just want to know, like, my audience, many of them have seen them, but what patterns you see in these successful people and these successful mentors as compared to those who are not so successful? Like, any threads that's common to this category of people?
Yeah. They're so vision driven, man. They know their vision really well. If you were to ask them, paint me a picture of your vision, they could do it so vividly, and they can articulate it really well. You know, they can describe the elements of their vision, and it becomes an inspiration to them, and they stay consistent in pursuing that vision. You know, they don't let the little hurdles knock them back. They commit to it and they follow through. And that's what it is the success is mostly just follow through. There's a lot of people that start projects and give up. A lot of people that have ideas but never implement. There are a lot of people that have a network, but they never ask, you know? And it's really about taking hold of the horns and sitting up on that bull, man, and running with it. Even if it gets a little scary sometimes, man, you got to go. That's what we're created for, man. We're created to do brave things. That's why God placed us here, to really sometimes step into the fire and stay in it for a bit, you know, like, let's go. Like, this is part of living. How do we know happiness if we don't experience sadness? How do we know power if we don't experience pain? You know, so it's really about embracing the fact that life has ebbs and flows. It's never perfect. And I think a lot of successful people that I've worked with over the years, spoken on stages with, coached, I could see that they were just really committed to that vision and following through with consistency. That's the key.
Amazing. Vision and driven to and taking action. I mean, that's amazing. Thank you for decoding that. So addicted to success, you've built that community brand you start with, and now you also have your personal brand. And I just want to know, like, what decisions did you make to like build that, the community brand? What decisions did you make in the initial days, and what decisions are you making right now to, still expand that and reach out to more number of people? Because things are also changing. Maybe algorithms are changing, the search rankings are changing over time. So just walk us through the first part, which is on the community brand, and then also a little bit about your personal brand.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a few recipe ingredients, I guess, ingredients to the recipe here. I would say the first one was that we told our community it's a community. You know what I mean? Like some people kind of wait for the community to get it, and we just didn't wait. I continued to say, the Addicted to Success community, and I kept calling them that. So they lived by that. That's the key.
Yes.
And so they embraced it. The second thing is I didn't look at my website as a blog. I looked at it as a movement that we were creating. So it's just even a frame and perception shift. I'm sure you do that too with your whole community as well, with your tribe. Yes. The other thing too is I would encourage them a lot to share. I'd say it's us. I'd say it's not mine, it's ours. And they loved that. And so they shared a lot more. And I said, if any of your friends, fans, followers, family, whoever really needs to hear this, please email this to them. Please share this article, message them this. And just by just reminding people, it wasn't like super cheesy promotion. It just naturally came out from time to time. I'm like, hey, just make sure you share this with someone. And they did. A lot of people did. They went and shared it with their friends. And they would share it with somebody that's like-minded. So now what we're doing is getting other people to help expand the community without us needing to pay for advertising. And on top of it, it's going to people that really need it too. So it was a win-win for everyone. We also had just really like great questions that we'd ask. So like when I do the interviews, I would have our own unique questions that we ask, and then we would extract them and then share those pieces with the community. And people loved hearing the answers to those unique questions. They wouldn't usually hear it everywhere else. On top of it, I think the fact that I was the ambassador, that I would stand at the forefront, and there was a personal brand, a person that was tied to it. It didn't necessarily have to be me. It just was. But if you're running your own, movement, you need an ambassador. You need someone to represent. Everyone wants to have a leader. They want somebody that can represent a leading charge into something, a higher calling or something new. So I feel like they're the recipes for success. If you're looking at building a movement, you want to have those multiple things in place for sure. And then on top of it, man, we were early to the race. I created Addicted to Success because at the time I felt there was a need for it. I didn't see anybody else running a website like this. There was a lot of like psychology websites and websites that were really hard for people to understand because they were like medical research paper type breakdowns of psychology. And we simplified the process and we created listicles, the 10 ways to do this or the 5 ways to do that. We created tons of quotes when nobody else was creating picture quotes. We're like the first to do it. All those annoying picture quotes you see everywhere now, we carved the path. Like I used to type in Google, motivation quote, and you'd see this little flower in a field with like word art on it. It says like, follow your passion. That was what was out at the time. I was like, man, we're going to make some better quotes, So yeah, man, we came early to the race, but the truth is it's not even about that. The truth is it's about community, so you can jump in at any point, take hold of it and really just create valuable content, go for quality over quantity too. We didn't try and get hundreds of articles out each day like some of the other big platforms. They can afford to because they have a bigger team. We focused on quality and we were in it for the long term. If you commit to a 10-year vision minimum, you're gonna really rock bells out there, man. People will hear you and see you and know that you're an authority.
Great, Joel. How big is your team now? Like, and what are the roles that they play to really keep this engine going?
You laugh, brother. You laugh, man. I got 2 people on my team at Addicted to Success.
Wow, amazing.
Small team, man. It's like, it's not a big cruise ship. It's a little jet ski. And we can pivot real quick if we need to pivot. But
nice.
I've been spending a lot of time with my personal brand, to be honest. I have a lot of people that come to me for coaching, for speaking. So the resources go towards that. I've got a bigger team around my personal brand.
Got it.
But yeah, we have some people that want to partner and that want to come in with Addicted to Success, and people that want to come in and really level it up, and that's totally cool. And we're in talks around that at the moment, and let's see what we can do with it. But for me, really, it's about expanding the community so that we can create a greater impact. And
Yes.
a lot of people nowadays, they're just consuming so much information. But the key is to actually learn strategy and apply it to your life. So I can do that a lot with my personal brand, and we're exploring ways to be able to do that too with Addicted to Success, because it is very general. It covers a lot of ground with personal development. And so, it's activating the community and getting them into like jumping on live calls and being a part of the summits and events and the masterclasses we have, so they can actually see a difference instead of just reading about it. Yeah.
Amazing. What I like is, same here, even I have a 3-member team, so it's not very big, capitally, it's all project-based. Yeah, all project-based freelancers, paper task, we don't need to have a big, and I work from home. I don't have an office too. So it's all just a registered address. Yeah. So I totally vibe with that. And I love the fact that, the whole focus has just been on community, like you've been saying this, like, with every sentence that you're mentioning, that's so powerful. And we don't realize, like, many people who are watching this may think, what is this all about? But I think once you start taking that paradigm of view in your positioning, and it's not about you, it's about them. It's like you said, use the word ambassador. I love that. Like you want to be the ambassador to your vision and the mission, and it could be anyone. You said that's also so connecting. Like even though I built this tribe, but I always use the words like we. It's about us. It's not about me, and I think that's so powerful, and that's how movements are created. Thank you for mentioning that, Joel. Really, small things, but I think it'll make a huge difference. And if everyone, all of you here watching, take this up as a important pointer. Next question is, I'm sure when you were starting off, you had the blog going and just gaining some popularity. But how did you get to work with some of these big influencers? Like, how did the doors open up for you? What were your strategies to connect with these big names, to get them on your podcast, to get them on your blog?
Yeah, everybody's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? And it's tattooed on their forehead, man. So I would always look for ways to leverage and create win-wins, because we were getting a lot of traffic coming through Addicted to Success. That was a good value offer, right?
Yes.
I had Gary Vaynerchuk, who at the time was putting out a lot of YouTube videos, and I knew that he had a book coming out. So I started reaching out to him. Hey, Gary, like, let's get an interview together. And I said to him, I'm going to be in New York. We could do a video interview together in person. And I actually wasn't going to be in New York, but I would if he said yes. But I'm like, I'm going to be in New York. It's like claiming it that's going to happen. And I said, look, to sweeten the deal, I'd be willing to buy, I think it was like 20 copies of his book. And it was Jab, 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 Right Hook. That was the book that he put out, the second book, because I already read Crush It, and it was a great inspiration for me. And I really respect him. So I was like, yeah, I'll buy 20 copies of your book. We'll give it out as like giveaways to the audience and stir a buzz, and more people want to get your book and know about your book. And he thought it was a great idea. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So, I met with him in person. I remember, I was flying on a late flight. It was like 11 o'clock at night from LA, got to New York. Would have been like 4 a.m. or something like that, maybe 5 a.m. or something. And I went to check into my hotel, and I had lost my room. They didn't give me my room because they didn't know if I was going to check in, because it clicked past the date. I booked it, and I guess they thought I was going to be in before midnight, and they gave my room away. So I get into New York, man. My eyes are like bloodshot. I'm on the red eye flight. I come in and I'm smashed, and I ended up finding out I couldn't get a room. They finally gave me this tiny little bed for like a 30-minute sleep. And then I remember getting up and rushing straight off. I had this big tall glass of coffee, and I'm smashing it back, and I'm like heading to his office, sit down with him. And I just remember he just had such a great presence. I remember him being so accommodating, and it was like we were friends for the longest time. And this was my first sit down with him. And I remember seeing him do that. And I thought, you know what, man, I want to be like that. Like, I want it to be that when I'm connecting with people, they feel at home, you know, that we can create win-wins for each other. And he always remembered that too, because Gary and I have connected. He's jumped on 3 interviews with me. He jumped in my mastermind group, which, by the way, he never does. Like, you try and get Gary to be in your mastermind. It's so hard to get him to say yes. But he did it for me because he remembers how many times I showed up for him. And I never expected that would happen. It's just that he just really appreciated that I put in the effort. And
amazing.
And I followed through what I said I was going to do. And this is the thing. If you can show proof of follow through, people trust that. And so what I would do is, after I got Gary, I started to reach out to other people, and I would say, hey, look, here's what I did with Gary. You know, we promoted 20 copies of his book. Here's like how many people clicked the link to get his book. And so other authors were like, wow, we want that, because typically when they're asked to do an interview, they don't have anything measurable. So all they've got is just like putting trust in some random person. That person is going to help them promote. You don't even know if they've got a marketing game plan or a campaign to push their podcast out. You could spend an hour with this person on an interview and there's like 0 plays. It's a waste. You know, I charge thousands of dollars every hour. I don't even know what Gary would charge. It'd be a lot more, I'm sure. But like, people like this really respect that. And it's easier for them to say yes if they know that you can show measurably that you can get them the reach and you can get them some, you know, conversions, that it's worth their while. So I just lived by that. I was like, cool, let's create a win-win for everyone. And sure enough, you know, you get Gary Vaynerchuk, getting after that Simon Sinek, got Dr. Jody Spencer. From there, I ended up getting Les Brown and Grant Cardone. And then from there, I ended up harassing Tony Robbins. I had a reminder set on my calendar, and I email him and like 3 other people in his team. I did it 9 times, bro. Finally, on the 9th time, his assistant gone back and said, Tony's ready to jump on an interview with you. You know, it was a 30-minute interview. Wow. And I remember that day, I was like, that's amazing. But he said, man, you're freaking consistent. Like, that's why he said yes. Yeah. You know, and also like to combine together all of the breakdown of what we could do for him. And we helped Tony sell thousands of copies of his books because we continued to push out the article. And that's what we did. We ended up showing the proof of that to other people, and it just became easier and easier for them to say yes. Like, this is what people want, man. I just think to myself, and you guys got to do this too, think if someone was to approach you for an interview, what would make you say yes? If you were charging tens of thousands of dollars every hour, or maybe you're so hard to get that you only do $1 million contracts per year, what would make you say yes? And whatever that thing is that would make you say yes, do that. You know?
Amazing, Joel. The last 10 minutes are like pure gold. You know, all of you here watching, we are living in a world today where we can reach out to anyone. You just need to keep these principles in mind and reach out. And that's what happened. You know, Joel, even for me, reaching out to you was just like, yes, I was on Twitter, but I was like, I've been following you for a long time, and I wanted to really connect with you as a person. Forget about what's going to come out of this, but it's just to connect with you as a person, to get to know more about you, and just send a message. And I'm so glad that you responded like so fast, which shows that you're in control of your handles, and you're monitoring and reading every message that comes. So really want to appreciate you for that. And this tip, all of you are watching, you can reach out to anyone in the world if you know how it can become a win-win. Fantastic, Joel. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I want to shift gears now into your coaching now, side of the business. You've been doing this, you've been coaching a lot of people. So what is your coaching methodology right now? What do you train people? Is it in the life coaching space, or do you help them find their niche and then you help them build products? Or like, what's been your focus with your mastermind group?
Yeah, thanks for asking, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, so my coaching certification program is called Influential Coach. I focus on both, man. I bring 2 worlds together. I bring the mindset and also the marketing. And I think a lot of people nowadays are jumping the gun. You know, I said it recently on a video that there's not really many coaches out there. And people were like, what? There's tons of, and I'm like, no, there's a lot of content creators, but there's not a lot of coaches. Look at the art and craft of coaching, as you would know, because you're really leading this charge too in your regions. Coaching is really learning how to listen. It's sitting with people. It's being in the space with them, not even holding the space, but being in it and knowing how to support them through that process. And it really takes that inner transformation to make a difference. And a lot of the information that's out there is external, outer fluff. It doesn't mean anything unless you've actually applied it and you felt it on a cellular level. So I teach my coaches from the ground up. You know, they learn how to work through their layers, through their wounds, through their trauma, their childhood blueprint. We do shadow work. We work through the unconscious repatterning so that they can break those procrastination patterns, so they can no longer live in this fear of not being good enough. So they overcome this. And then from there, they learn the tools, the frameworks, and the exercises to be able to facilitate transformation. All of this builds their certainty and then their influence. Naturally, they're influential because they can get results. And if you're a coach that doesn't get results, you're not a coach. I'm sorry to say, you're just not. Like, it's a part of being a coach is being able to support your clients to get results. And, you know, I'm rooting for everyone, man. I want everyone to be able to be at the level to be able to do that. And if anybody's keen, they come in, they learn the tools and the frameworks and the exercises to actually be a coach. And then from there, then we do the branding and the marketing. What happens is the big mistake. People skip the inner work to build the certainty, and the tools and the frameworks and the exercises. They do a little bit, just enough to say, I'm a coach. And they truly haven't got the influence because they can't get the results that they really need for their clients. And then they jump straight to branding and marketing, and then they try and look like a coach. And they put up pictures of them like they're bowling and all this stuff to try and look like a coach, and, you know, 7-figure this and 8-figure that. Man, people make so many things up. I coach a lot of coaches that state these claims, and then when we pull back their business, they don't have that money. It never came in. It's like they're trying to manifest it. So they say multiple 6 figures, but they've never made that with their coaching business in their life. And I just got sick of it. It's incongruent, you know, it's inauthentic. So I said, well, how about we stop jumping the gun and trying to fake it to make it, and actually learn how to be it. So that way you can actually be certain, be influential. Then you can create the impact as you scale your branding and marketing and build a long-term career and create a ripple effect. I live by what Jesus even taught. He's like, go out there and make disciples of people. And I'm like, cool, I want to raise up leaders, man. Like, maybe it's not to be a preacher or a pastor, but maybe they're learning how to support people in healing. And then maybe that person then comes closer to God because they open their heart to want to be spiritually connected to something greater than themselves, rather than just, you know, living in struggle. There's so many people just trying to survive right now. I want people thriving. That's what God created us for. So yeah, this is Influential Coach, man. That's what we do for 4 months.
Amazing. Love it, Joel. In fact, the same thing. I mean, my methodology is just work on the inner part first. And of course, I go back to Earl Nightingale, Strangest Secret in the World. Like, people have to listen to it twice a day for the first 30 days to really rewire that inner game before they can go out to do anything. And I'm totally with you on the point. Like, today, it's very easy to be a content creator, and Instagram is like filled with, and YouTube is filled with all kinds of creators. But I think that the substance and that depth comes in only when, like you mentioned, we need to heal our own wounds, and go through the process. And I'm glad that even for me, Dr. John Demartini has played a huge role. I'm sure you've been through his Demartini method, and Blair Singer. I've got an opportunity to get coached and mentored under him. Blair Singer, who's one of Robert Kiyosaki, and I think those were the moments that really helped me understand, like, the inner transformation is what creates the external thing, so it's like the deeper you work on yourself, the wider your impact is going to be. And that's so beautifully you've reiterated on that point. So all of you here watching this interview is, it's very easy to set up a website. It's easy to get a photo shoot, and easy to call yourself whatever designation coach. But it's this journey that's important. And thank you for mentioning that, Joel, that your process, you're following the same thing. Which leads me to the next question is, 14 years ago when you started, probably you were the forerunners of this, the whole blogosphere and also in the social media. Like, you had the head start, but today if people are starting, I mean, there's so much of noise. So what would be your tips to how can people cut through the noise where people actually listen to them and they're able to create an impact? What would be your tips on this?
Yeah, if someone wanted to build a website like Addicted to Success, I would say you'd have to do it differently now. If you want to be able to have at least a journey with flow, if you've got a big budget to build a bigger team to do what we've been able to do, cool, maybe that'll work for you. But we've got a lot of clout, credibility, good domain authority and ranking because we've got so many articles and they've stood the test of time. We've been around 14 years. So I would say a better move, like if you were to ask me, hey, Joel, if we stripped everything from you and then you were challenged to like build a website again, what would you do? I would make that website way more interactive in a sense that we'd like start with a very specific problem that we're solving in the space and have a lot more live calls, live content, interactions, build a community model around it so that people can interact with each other. That would be what we would do now. Because people are spending more time on social media than they used to on a website.
Yes.
I've even challenged people now to like look at ways you can convert just your general like written paper type of content and turn them into like user manuals or like guides, turn them into quizzes, turn them into video content, and then like turn them into masterclasses and teach them and get some leads coming through. There's so much you could do. I mean, look, we've got almost 5,000 articles on Addicted to Success. If we turned all of them into little masterclasses, we'd have 5,000 different masterclasses. Like we're not going to do that. That's intense. Spend the rest of my life doing that. But yeah, like just really think now, like people are demanding more person to person or live interaction. People want that. No matter how digital we get, you'll never take human connection away. People want it. I was just at an event in Toronto. People really thrive off human connection. They want to be able to see each other and give each other a hug and have a dance and sit down and write pen to paper and hang out with each other and really get to know someone on an individual level. So if you can find ways to introduce more of that into your platforms, you're going to crush it.
Amazing. So I like the way that you started, like pick a specific problem and start from there and bring in a live interaction.
Like if you created a whole website based off overcoming procrastination or around how to live in your vision, and you made the whole like plethora of articles and videos and masterclasses on there all about that, then you become the expert that knows how to go deep into that. I would say start there, because if you go too broad too quick, you've got a lot more work on your hands. You know, it takes longer.
Yes.
Yeah. You could expand out to that over time, but I'd say start smaller and build out from there.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I tell my community, Joel, is like, you know, the narrower you go, the more it's a blue ocean. You know, you're not going to be, it's not a red ocean where you're trying to compete with everyone. And when you have a specific problem, a micro niche, a micro market. And I also tell my students, go micro location. Like if you're in that city, you target only your city, and you can even speak in your own language, because in India, we have like more than 15, 20 languages. So you speak your language to your group and build a tribe around that. And that's so much more powerful than just trying to go everywhere. And I
tried to learn a little bit of Malayalam, man, and that was tough. Really tough.
I mean, you got to, and Malayalam is a language you got to really roll the tongue, a lot.
Exactly.
And, I'm from South India, of course. Yes. Amazing. And in India, the thing is, you got so many languages, and even within a state, there's different linguistics. Within Malayalam, so there could be many subcategories there. Yeah, it's quite crazy. So I tell people is in India, if you're trying to launch a coaching business, is focus on your own location, micro location. And many of our members have got great success because of that rapport they're able to build with their own group of people from their zone. And
super cool, man. Super cool.
So next question, Joel, is forget about business. What else do you like doing? What else takes you and wakes you up every morning? I know you mentioned spirituality, Christ, living each day to fulfill the purpose, higher purpose of God, connecting with God. What else excites you?
Well, man, I don't know if you could see this. Right now, I'm putting together a puzzle.
Wow. This is crazy, yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, man. I forgot what it was like. It's a 1,500 piece puzzle. When I was a kid, I used to do maybe like a 500 or 1,000 piece. So to do this now is very challenging, and my girl's helping me out. I've got, my friend here too that takes a look every now and then and goes, whoa, but that was kind of cool, man. Just something different. I think it's important to, to do things that challenge your creativity, get out, go and do some things outside. Like I like exploring. I like going to art galleries and, just got some paint and some big, thick paper to paint on. I like music too. So eventually I may do like a music project, some like faith-based meditation, content. Yeah, man, it's good to be able to flex into different dimensions. I spend a lot of time in my masculine, in very structural teachings and leadership and coaching. And sometimes you can kind of exhaust yourself if you're pushing so hard in that one space. So for me, to create, it gets me into that, like that feminine energy to be able to go into that place of like play and creation. So I'm learning this as I get older, the importance of doing that. I never used to think like that, but you got to pay attention to the signs and the signals that are showing up in your body, how you're feeling when you're creating, when you're working on your business, when you're hanging around people, like what feels in alignment for you. And I'm in a place of some play and adventure and also building and creating. So
nice. Great, Joel. Good to know. And the jigsaw thing is it was amazing to see that. Are you into Lego too? You do Lego?
Nah, not Lego, bro. I don't even think I really was that much when I was a kid, but I used to do crazy puzzles, man. And like it just, everything's patterns and sequences in life. And just sitting with this, it got me really thinking like how much I don't pay attention to smaller detail. So it's challenging to have to pay attention to the small detail. And like sometimes I found myself trying to force a puzzle piece in a space that doesn't fit. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? So it's teaching me about how I'm showing up. And like with anything, music too. I learned from a guy called Neil Moore recently at this event. And he said that music is all patterns as well. And so if you can learn to pick up instruments, it activates certain parts of your brain that nothing else can. And it stimulates more growth and creativity and intelligence. And so we get to play, guys. We get to go hands-on and visual and auditory and dance in the different modalities of life to grow and learn.
Amazing, Joel. In fact, the jigsaw, the puzzle that you're doing is, I think, that's an extension of what you're doing to the world. You're addicted to success. You're just, I think every blog is trying to fix one puzzle at a time, one piece at a time, and you're doing that. Wow.
Check this out, man. Look at this.
1,500 pieces. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
And on music, anyway, what instrument do you play? Are you a keyboardist or a guitarist?
I used to play piano when I was a kid, and I picked up the guitar. My dad used to run a guitar school, but I hated all of it, man. I didn't want to do piano lessons. My mom and dad used to drag me there. My dad, he shut down his guitar school, and I learned like a bit. Now I'm keen, as I got older.
Nice.
When you're young, man, you want to, as a guy, I used to want to go out and chase girls, and I wanted to go play with the boys and go, do my own thing. But yeah, it is good, man. It's good for us to be able to challenge ourselves for sure. Yeah.
That's another similarity. I play the keyboards, and what I do in my sessions, I also used to be a DJ. So I play a lot of music, inspirational music after the sessions, and people are just hanging around, at the end of the session. So I'm totally with you. Music is something that can really, it's the one of the most powerful state shifters. We can just shift the state of mind to whatever we want. And amazing, Joel. I'm so happy to know about this other side of you, and which is actually the more empowering side to what the main work that we are doing. Thank you for your time. I think we've covered a lot of ground. All of you here watching, I'm sure you've got a lot of golden nuggets from this. Joel, how can people connect with you, and where are you most active, where they can follow you and get more inspiration from you?
Yeah, most active on Instagram, I would say. So at I am Joel Brown, JoelBrown. Yeah, so just go there.
Yes.
Message me, reach out, let me know that you heard this with Siddharth, and any questions that you have, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer.
Yeah, sure. And also give the links to all your websites and everything else. So those of you who want to connect with Joel here watching, please connect with him. Yeah, and he'll be more than happy to help you.
We've got a really cool procrastination quiz coming out. So just keep an eye out for that. I've been working on this for like almost 7 years now, and it's going to support you in overcoming your procrastination. If you're into faith, God, we have a faith-based platform that we're bringing out for coaching and training around that. Some really cool workshops. We've got over 40 workshops. It's allbliss.com, AWEBLISS.com. So yeah, man, there's a lot of really cool things on the horizon. And man, I'm excited to learn more about what you got going on as well. I see that you've created an incredible empire of impact, and I love that.
Yeah. Thank you, Joel. Amazing. Want to wish you all the best, and more power to you. Keep let this reach out to many more millions for many more decades to come. And just want to thank you, Joel. You've been like a brother from a different mother. Just the conversation that I had has been amazing. Thank you so much, Joel. All the best.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, bro.